Morning. You may have loaded. blah, 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 blah. Good morning. You may have noticed the lack of an intro. It turns out that this isn't a television show. Who knew? Also, it's Tuesday instead of Sunday. This is because I want to mix things up a bit. I want to do updates during the week, and I'm not going to have a song. Instead, I'm going to do a song update on Friday. So, 2 videos. Crazy. Anyway, today I want to talk about Satan's Game. And by that, I, of course, mean Parcheesi, with its eldritch board and strangely pronounced name. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to talk about D&D, as you can no doubt tell from the title, which is up there. So D&D, or Dungeons & Dragons, which is, of course, Satan's Game, if you ask any parent from the 1980s, is a role-playing game. It was started back in the 70s by Dave Arneson and Gary Gygax, whose last name I continually mispronounce. I'm not actually sure how to say it. It's a game where you take on the role of a character in a group of other characters, and you tell a story, and you fight monsters, and you take their stuff. I mean, it's the root of a lot of other RPGs, whether you play Final Fantasy, or maybe you play World of Warcraft. They're all kind of in the same genre, and D&D was the start of that. The interesting thing about role-playing games is that you take on the role of a character that is not you, and they explore a world which is not this one. Sometimes that character's an extension of you, some part of you taken to an extreme, or sometimes they're just totally different from you. But they have different values, and they have different ideas, and they have different outlooks on life. And you travel around with a group of other people killing things and taking their stuff. Or, more importantly, overcoming challenges, because it's a game, and telling a story, because there's a mix of theater. And it's this mix of story and strategy that really gets me. I mean, I play a lot of role-playing games, and I blog about it. I actually wrote part of my master's thesis on it. And it's just totally awesome. I've been playing for about 15 years, and there's this incredible way that it motivates people's creativity. I remember starting a game about 3 years ago with a bunch of people 7 people who insisted to me that they were not creative, hated math, and hated theater. And we sat around and had incredible amounts of fun, essentially doing improv theater and statistics for 4 hours a week. It is incredibly awesome. The game I've got now, I have players who write a story every week about their character and what their character's doing. It really immerses them in the kinds of worlds that they're exploring. But that's not the only reason it's awesome. I mean, sure, you have to fight monsters in a fantasy world and deal with all the strategy elements and come up with an original character and be interesting and say interesting things, but you also have to do this while cooperating with anywhere from 3 to 5 other people. That's not easy. A lot of the time. Most D&D games are spent with people arguing, not about rules, but about what to do. And for me, I mean, that's really big motivator. I love getting people to explore their values, and especially by putting their characters' values in tension with their own values. And you can really learn a lot about how you look at values and how you look at people when you do that, and how you overcome challenges with people by negotiating, by cooperating, or just by beating your head against it until it falls over. And I do a lot of stuff with D&D too. I blog about it. I already mentioned that down at TPK about philosophy and gaming and how they mix together. I webcast a D&D game every 2 weeks, except for this weekend because I'm out of town visiting my grandparents, although there may be a video from Ottawa. That'd be pretty cool. And on top of that, I'm sort of prepping for a D&D for charity project that my office mate and I worked out last year. I'm just trying to get everything sorted out and figure it out. The thing I love about it is that it's really for everybody. I've played D&D with 5-year-old kids. I've played D&D with 50-year-old men. It doesn't matter. You get out of the game what you bring to it. That can be a greater understanding of values. That can be telling a fun story. That can be hacking up a bunch of monsters. It doesn't really matter. You make up the story. You create the nature of the game by playing it, and which makes every single game unique, as opposed to every game of Parcheesi, which pretty much ends the same way. I always say that anybody will benefit from a good game of D&D. I mean, whether it's because you explore your values or just because you learn how to interact with other people. I mean, we always paint gamers as these sort of antisocial people all sitting in their parents' basement and that kind of thing. And I'm not saying that there aren't gamers like that. I've been one of those gamers, let me tell you. But to play a game like that, you have to be able to interact with people socially. And you have to be able to form meaningful bonds with them. Otherwise, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to work at cross purposes the whole time and ultimately frustrate yourselves. And I'm not saying that that never happens, but if you can work through it, it's just like anything else. If you can work through the little bits of it, it's a hell of a lot of fun. Leave a comment about your D&D games or your role-playing game experiences, I mean, good or bad, and let me know. Instead of a standard outro, go watch Crash Course. I've been watching a ton of it lately, and I'm learning about history and literature and ecology. It's run by John and Hank Green, and it's absolutely amazing. And every week from now on, I'm just going to throw in some kind of thing that I'm watching that is super cool. All right, I will see you next week, and actually on Friday, when the song written by one of my D&D players goes up. It's going to be really cool. I'll see you then. Bye.